So, Jess.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week.
It has.
Crazy week. We're going to talk all about that when we get into the episode proper. You're the one who was like, what's our opening bit this week? And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
We're recording the latest we've ever recorded, and we still didn't have time to think of a bit. So, let's see what's in the paper.
Oh, goodness.
Let's see if we can just riff off what's in the paper. I have the Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Encino News, serving the neighborhoods of Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Encino, NoHo, and Valley Village. This is the February 2020 edition, and let's just see what we got. From the desk of CD2, plans are moving ahead on much-anticipated innovations that will improve commuting time across the region.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So, Los Angeles World Airports.
That's great. That ties in, too. Commuting, K-car. We've got a K-car.
Yeah. So that's funny. That's funny. From the desk, right? You can stop me any second.
Okay, let's stop. It's a rainy LA day, so apologies if you hear us
tinkling
being very
on
Relient
the AC.
K. The raindrops falling on our AC unit outside of our window.
Yes. So it actually has been a very, very busy week for us. This is Tuesday. This is the latest we've ever recorded the episode.
Yeah.
And in the future, when people listen back, if people are like streaming our whole show, binging our whole show, who cares? I'm just saying.
They always stream the show, Dan.
Yeah, well, they technically always stream the show. You know what I mean? If they binge the show in the future, who cares? I always hate it when I watch a YouTube show and I'm trying to get information on something specific and the guy rabbles on for 5 minutes. Rabble's not a word. Rambles on for 5 minutes about, sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. Sorry for this and sorry for that.
We do try to keep it to a minimum. Danny sometimes puts it in there and I cut it out in editing. When he's like, we've had a busy week. I'm like, they don't care. Cut.
But I'm only bringing it up this week because on Twitter, I was like, it's Tuesday afternoon. We haven't even recorded the episode for the midnight on Wednesday release. So I was like, hey, everyone, here's the facts. Crazy week. Haven't released episodes. So let's not keep them in suspense because it's not really that bad, but this is something that Jessica's just wanted to share from our personal lives. So do you want to talk about it?
Sure, yeah. So this past week, my mom had to have surgery. They had to open up her back and put in
like artificial lumbars.
Yeah. I was going to try and make a collapsible lung tummy and it just didn't work. I couldn't think of it fast enough.
Right, that's fine.
But yeah, so basically
they're not giving her a collapsible lung.
No, she's getting like a new spine essentially,
right.
She's
those
gotten
are close
it now.
to replaceable hips.
Yeah,
they're connected.
It's exactly because the hip bone's connected to the backbone. Sure,
that's my favorite Relient K song. The hip bone's connected to the collapsible lung.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of back and forth to and from the hospital this week.
Right.
And she is just now moving into a rehabilitation facility. And So.
And it's been just so much driving around, dealing with stuff, and no time for most anything else.
And then Danny was sick. So.
Yeah, and I was sick, and we were going to record last night, and I literally got so tired. It wasn't like, I would have been tired on microphone. It was like, I was like, what time? I was like, that's how. I was like, I couldn't know what time it was. I was like out of it. I was like, I was rambling.
Yeah.
Like, so it's been a rough week. But you know what I said? I said, Jesus, take the wheel of this K car. Because this week we're talking about K car. So that's the whole thing. If you saw it on Twitter live when I tweeted it.
And thank you to those of you who reached out.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. It's like, it seems dramatic. I was like, I don't want to seem... I was like, there's no way to tweet, hey, times are rough right now, episode might not be out on time, without everyone super worrying. Right. And I really appreciate that. But at the same time, like, it's the person's in the hospital because they're supposed to be there. They're recovering from an operation. So I just didn't want anyone to worry too much. But if you want to keep Jessica's mom in your prayers, please do.
It would be amazing.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Definitely want a swift recovery from her.
But yeah, this week we're talking about K Car. I picked this song like a week ago.
Any top of the show business?
Yes, I do. I'm getting into that because this week I picked K Car to commemorate that the All Work and No Playlist vinyl came out.
That's right.
Yes. And it's right over there. Everyone was getting their vinyls all week last week, like basically when last week's episode came out.
We were waiting.
I know, we were waiting, because I guess the further away you are from Nashville, where it shipped from, the longer you'd wait. So we're over here in California, and we had ordered 2 packages. We had one test pressing with a regular record and one of our T-shirts, and the other with a T-shirt and a second copy of for us of the regular record. So now we have 3 copies of the record. And I was like,
good, because the one copy of the record that we opened
was wobbly.
Yeah, it has a warped surface, and it's like goes like, ooh, like every time it spins around.
It was really tough. You could really hear it on Must Have Done Something Right. I was like, Must Have Done Something Right. It was like the other songs, if they get louder, you don't hear the warble as much. But Must Have Done Something Right is just too soft of a song.
Yeah, so we were very happy to have two
copies because we were like, oh, maybe we'll use one as a giveaway.
Yeah.
But I was also looking up how to flatten warped records, because it's not that warped. It's only slightly warped, you know? The other thing is, like, I'm not super impressed. People out there love their colored vinyl, their clear vinyl, their splatter vinyl. I just like black vinyl.
Yep.
And I absolutely do hear a difference. Like, because they say black vinyl has the best audio quality. Like, when you start getting to the materials they use for colored vinyl, for clear vinyl, for splatter vinyl, those materials hold less of the science stuff. Let me get technical here. They hold less of the science stuff to make something sound good. So black vinyl is like the best sound quality. So whenever something's available in multiple versions, I always like to order the black vinyl.
Yeah, we might actually end up listening more to the test pressing. Right. Because that is not on this like sort of clear splatter vinyl look that it's got going on. Those are just plain black.
At the same time, the test pressing, by the way, has no indication that it's the Relient K record. It's an orange sleeve.
Yeah.
With the logo, I guess, of the factory pressing plant.
Yeah, it looks
and
like
it just says test pressing B.
Yeah, it looks like a rainbow, but it's like all black.
Well, it's like a vinyl record, I guess. It's like half a vinyl record.
Oh, yeah.
But cut in the shape of a rainbow.
Look at you. Look at you. It's been a week. Very tired.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
So yeah, and then it says B, test pressing, and then underneath it gives the address of the place where they had it pressed.
Yeah. So I picked K Car because the song K Car is not on the All Work and No Playlist vinyl, but it's where the band gets their name from. They get their name from the Relient K, the car.
Yeah, the Plymouth Reliant
The Plymouth Relient K. Or Relient, yeah. And the logo of this record is a parody of the actual car logo. So I was like, well, then it's appropriate for us to do K Car. Even though there's no self-titled record songs on this album and no Air for Free songs.
Yeah.
And there's only one.
And no All Work and No Play songs.
I know. Because the inside gatefold has this fun thing where it shows the track list of all of their albums, including Bird and the B-Sides. And it's blacked out. It's crossed out if the song's not on.
It's pretty cool.
So then you look at the self-titled and Air for Free, and the whole list is crossed out.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad.
And then they have like a yellow highlighter over the songs that they did pick off of the albums.
And then one picture each for all the different like core lineups of the band. So
it's really cool.
Yeah, you have the original, the self-titled lineup with Steven on drums over there. Then you have the Matt, Brian, and Dave lineup, which is my classic lineup. Then you have, which one's next? The one without Ethan. This one. No, that one. Oh. Then you have Dave with John and John and Matt. And then you have John, Matt, and Ethan.
And then in the very back, you have just Matt and Matt.
Yeah. So that's really cool that they...
Yeah, that they paid homage to all the lineup.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. I love
Whether
it.
they use songs
It's a nice send-off now that they're breaking up.
Oh, Danny.
I don't know
Dan.
I don't have any information about that.
Oh, goodness. Why would you do that?
Fears, yeah. You'd rather... I think some people out there would rather I make like a coronavirus joke than make a Relient K is breaking up joke.
Yeah. Any other top of the show business?
Yes. We have some voicemails from last week.
Nice.
So this is someone new who's never called in before, and we'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, this is Gates Fernesi of Instagram. Thanks for the support on my poetry, by the way. Anyway, my poetry was something about iPods and screen brightness.
So I'll pause there. Sorry, Jessica was about to take a sip because she's like, oh, we're still behind the audio clip. I can take a sip. So I mentioned this before, but the way I promote the show is I just go through and I like everything that's tagged Relient K. Like everything and everyone, whoever makes a post that says Relient K, I go through and I like it. That's like my grassroots free way of promoting the show. Because, hypothetically, someone's going to see Sadie Hawkins pod like their thing and then be like, oh, what is Sadie Hawkins pod? Sounds like something I would want to check out. So I like this person's poem. And then when they left the voicemail, I was like, oh, I remember that post, but I didn't actually read it at the time. So I went back to read it. And the thing is, oh, man. So I have their name is Gates Fernesi. Gates Fernesi. And I thought I had screen grabbed the poem that we're talking about because he must have just tagged it as Relient K. I knocked some paper off the table. Anyway, I wanted to read the poem because basically when I went back and I
read it.
I know you do. I'm sure you do. Jessica loves poetry, but the thing is, it's like modern. It's fun. It's kind of humorous and stuff.
That sounds awesome.
And I wanted to read it, and I have misplaced it. And Gates Fernesi has 13,000 posts on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know where this is.
He's on his game.
Maybe I'll find it next time. I could have sworn I took a screen grab or I clicked save. So maybe we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, it was something about like an iPod and something like that. And it was actually kind of fun. It was a nice poem. I would just pretend I didn't even pretend that I didn't even read it if I didn't like it. I definitely liked it. So unfortunately, I don't have that. I apologize. Maybe next week. As we said, it's been a crazy week. So here's the rest of their voicemail.
Yeah, I don't know. I had been listening to your podcast anyway, and you just happened to like my poetry. I guess I'm somewhat of a longtime fan of Relient K, going back to high school. My dad used to work in the post office, and all the CDs that were going in the garbage, he would just like find some that were going in the garbage anyway and take them. And so that's how I got their CD with like Pressin' On and Kick Off. Then I explored further into their earlier CD. The rest of it downloaded. I really just like the early stuff. Anyway, good podcast. I think I prefer you to Blink 155. Thanks for keeping it on point. Pretty good investigation concerning covers and things like that. Looks like you're looking beyond YouTube. You're better than the Green Day podcast. You're probably on par with the Ween podcast. A really good band with a strong following when someone's going to make a podcast covering every song. So, my regards. Take care. Don't get coronavirus.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, we're better than Blink 155.
I had a feeling you'd be happy to hear that. I spoiled it. I was like, I didn't want Jessica to know before we did the episode, but I sent a clip of that to our Blink 155 friends. We have a messenger group with a bunch of people in LA who listen to Blink 155. And I sent that and Jessica knew all about it, so. But yeah, I was curious what his story was about how his dad worked at the post office and there'd be a trash can filled with CDs.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are there so many forgotten CDs at the post office? I don't understand where they come from. Is it like, did they fall out of packages? Did people like leave their CDs at the post office? Or
I don't know.
I'm very confused and curious. For instance,
leftovers from the CD club. What was that?
Sometimes an amoeba. Yeah, leftover. Oh yeah, maybe leftovers of the CD club. That's a good point. That could be that. I was just gonna say, like, sometimes in amoeba, the trash can on the way to the parking garage, you'll find some CDs there because they're CDs that someone brought to try to sell and they weren't worth anything.
Yeah.
And you can like grab those free CDs that, if they're not totally destroyed, scratched, who cares things. Yeah. So I'm thinking, is it something like that? But I'm like, why at the post office?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm curious about. But yeah, apparently we're on par with the Ween podcast. So how about that?
Nice.
And then our intern checks in.
Nice.
with this voicemail David Ketch calls.
Hi, Danny and Jess. This is David from Denver. Just calling because I wanted to say hi. Also wanted to fulfill my intern duties since Jess called me out last week. I believe Danny said you can see my socks 6 times, Jess. You were correct.
Yes.
But if you count the times that he was messing around with the name, he did that like twice. So just add 2, which would be 8. Also, I wanted to say that the Fly By and Frenzy song that Danny was talking about is called A Flowery Song from their first album. And the chorus, which we all know, I forget how it goes right now, but it's called the Doxology. And it's pretty well known, as Danny had mentioned. Also, I had no idea that John Warren was at the MXPX show. I was there too, and it was a blast. And funny thing, the first song that played in the house last week, at this point that I'm calling it was last week, the first song that they played through the house was Relient K's The One I'm Waiting For. I wonder if he noticed that. Anyways, back to the show. See you guys.
That's awesome.
So yeah, our intern checked in. Let us know. I mentioned you can see my socks 6 times, and that was your guess.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's funny is Google Voice doesn't understand. I'm sure if it said Jessica, it would know, but first it thinks it's Danny and Jeff. Then it says Jess called me. No, sorry. When he said Jess called me out, it says Jack called me out last week.
Nice.
It just can't figure out that Jess is a girl's name. So what else did he say?
I can be Jeff the girl. It's all good.
That's right. So, yeah. Oh, that's it. That's the Fire and Frenzy thing. So yeah, the fact that the song's called A Flowery Song and the fact that the chorus is based on the doxology, these are all things that are in my mind, but that just was not there to be called out at the time when I needed it last week. So I appreciate David calling because I had forgotten already that I couldn't call those things up to mind. So I think that's it for top of the show business. We got our record, we got our test pressings, we got our t-shirts, we did the voicemails.
And I do want to say that I had mentioned as we were like talking about the release and going through that track listing, and I had said that, there were some songs where I was like, I don't know, I don't think that's going to flow. We sat today and listened to the record all the way through, and everything really does flow really well. I mean, I say all the way through, but we skipped Deathbed, but we listened to most of the record all the way through.
And someone asked me on Twitter, and I don't want to guess, I'll just go look for it later, if Savannah had Baby or Oasis on it. It does not. If something else had, but
Forget Not Slow Down has
the next stop Concord B.
Concourse B.
Concourse B. And then Must Have Done Something Right has a weird thing that I hadn't ever heard, and we've already done that song on the show, so we can't really go back to investigate. But the opening part, we should get yours, can make your team usually be better than mine because you're out of my league. Before it kicks in, I know that you're so cliche. Up to that point, it's filtered to sound like it's coming through an old tinny radio.
Yeah.
I don't think I can I don't have the equipment. I need to get the equipment to rip vinyls, but I'm just going to I'm going to use Goldwave and make my own version. This is what it sounds like.
We should get jerseys because we make a good team. But yours would look better than mine, 'cause you're out of my league. And I know that it's so cliche to tell you that every day.
See, so that's what they did on the vinyl. And I'm like, did that ever exist anywhere else? Because then I actually picked up the needle and went to the end of the song to see if they had the fade out or if they cut the song off naturally in studio. Because they cut the song off naturally in studio for the pre-release single. Right? But then on the record, it's a fade out. Well, it's a fade out on the Greatest Picks vinyl. So it's just a weird thing that they tweaked one. They seem to have tweaked one song. There might be other tweaks, that we couldn't hear through the speakers, but that was the most obvious tweak that we heard.
Yeah, because we listened to that song on the test pressing first, because Danny was like, oh, I just want to listen to the test pressing, and before we listened to the main record, and he happened to choose that side. I don't remember which side it is now. And when that came on, we were like, oh, is this just like some weird, like, faulty test thing? And then we listened to it on the main album, and we were like, nope, this was just the choice.
Yeah. Very odd. Yeah. I'm just wondering, was that something that has existed? Or
we have the 5-score vinyl. We could go listen to it. Oh, yeah,
that's right. Well, we got it recently, and we haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah.
We've listened to the Forget Not Slow Down, because we got them all in that big package from Luke Morrow.
Yeah.
And the 5-score one is just the last one that we haven't listened to yet.
I mean, we could pause and go do it right now.
We could, but let's just keep going.
Let's forget and not slow down.
Let's just forget and not slow down. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's top of the show business. So we can talk about K-Car.
Yeah. This song is so rockin'. This song is so punk.
Is it? Because my note on the song is it's like super amateurish in a very charming way.
Yeah. So this song, when I was until like 40 minutes ago, I had not listened to this song in years.
That's also crazy that we have waited the longest we've ever taken to record an episode ever, and Jessica still didn't find the time to at least listen to the song. Like I did my YouTube research, as light as it was, because there's not a lot for this song in online fandom.
But then you told me you were going to do the deep dive.
I was like,
okay,
dive.
So I just didn't.
And we thought we would do a big research project on the history of the K-Car itself, the actual car.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to do that because it's just too much to add to our current plate.
I'll read over
What's
Wikipedia.
nice is they are Relient K, so we can talk about that almost any time in a slow episode.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I listened to it, I listened to the version off of the self-titled.
Right.
And I was thinking, man, this is so, like, rough. And in a way that I do enjoy. Mm-hmm. But, like, the instrumental sounds really great. And then it's the vocals that are a little rough, I think, on the self-titled.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, this is actually the second.
Song.
This is the second to last song on the self-titled, but it's the very first song.
Well, it's the last official track on the album, because
Right.
there's a hidden track that we're not talking about this week.
Right.
We'll do Punk Rock Picnic and Heavy Metal and all those things. There's like multiple hidden tracks.
Yeah.
On this
so
album,
it's technically
or associated with this album, and
Yeah.
we'll do those separately. Sorry, I have my hands up to my face. I probably sound weird, but we're just talking about K-Car, and yeah, it closes essentially the self-titled album, but it opens the demo, All Work and No Play.
And my goodness, I can't believe anyone picked them up and continued listening after they heard this version.
I forgot to mention, that's funny that you mentioned that, because last week we played a little clip from the Local Wave, this podcast that interviewed Hoops 4 years ago, and everyone should go check it out, because it's like the best. They call the episode an oral history of Relient K, and it's basically true. Like, he goes kind of chronologically through the history of the band and how things happened, and we played the portion of the episode talking about how they didn't get signed to Capitol. They simply moved up to Capitol because they were all part of EMI.
Right.
He talks about how they got signed to Goatee in the first place.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't know I'm assuming it must have been All Work and No Play. He says the demo, and I don't remember if he says the All Work and No Play demo or just some other demo. But he goes, and because they worked with Mark Lee Townsend on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark Lee Townsend at one point, apparently, before, whatever year this would be, somewhere in the late 90s, before we know Relient K is on Goatee Records, Mark Townsend is meeting with Toby Mac, and he says, and he's like, so, well, what kind of, what's out there? Like, play me some artists. And he's playing him some stuff. And there's some like CDs he set around, some demos, and I don't know if they're all things he worked on or just things he's been hearing about from cities or whatever. And he's like, okay, that's good. That's all great. It's all interesting. Maybe I'll look into those. But is there anything else? And he's like, oh, well, I got this one thing. It's a rock pop punk band. And the way Hoops explained it, Mark Lee Townsend was not thinking this is worth playing for Toby Mac. But then when he played it, Toby Mac was like, this is great. And then
thank goodness for that.
And basically signed them like there. And I'm wondering what's the impetus behind that? Because, I mean,
Yeah.
Relient K is, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only rock band on Goatee Records, right? If there's another one, I'm just not thinking of it. And I don't think they're, I don't know. We had definitely, because we bought that Goatee Records Video Vault CD just for the Relient K videos that are on it.
Yeah, the VHS tape. We got a
No,
VHS.
we got the DVD.
Oh, did we
remember?
get the DVD?
Remember I bought the DVD?
Oh, that's right.
And I put it in, and we were like, I was like,
I also bought a VHS tape.
Right, we bought a VHS tape of like Wow 2001 or something like that.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah.
But yeah, and I was watching. I was like, because I was big into record labels because I loved ska punk and skate punk and all this stuff. So if I found a band I liked, I would start investigating their record label. And I guess at the time I must have investigated Goatee Records and I'd be like, oh, Relient K is like their novelty rock band.
Right.
But yeah, there was nothing else. So it's just so funny. Like, what did Toby Mac hear on this song? It would have been probably this song, right?
Right,
I
it's
assume.
the very first song, but oh my gosh, when I put it on, I was like, because I was thinking, I was like, maybe they just, use that same demo recording for the self-titled. No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. Just a definite
notes,
change in quality and how they play the instruments in the song itself.
So the funny thing that I think about this song, and I have specific notes about why, but I think that the writing of this song is super amateurish in a fun way. Like, it is not a very well written song. It's not a bad song in that it is a song. You know what I mean? It's like
it's a song. It exists.
Yeah, it's like the difference between like when people are like, "Oh, Tommy Wiseau is the worst film director of all time," or Ed Wood is the worst film director of all time. Well, you know what? They know how to actually light a scene so you can see what's happening. Mm-hmm. Like, they know how to actually point the camera at the people who are talking. Like, the actual worst directors of all time have made movies that are...
You're giving a little bit too much credit to Tommy Wiseau, Danny. He had other people who did that for him, and he just went, oh, yes, put camera here.
Exactly. But my point is, when it comes to music, if I say a song like this is amateurish... There are songs out there that are just so bad, they're not even listenable. This is a listenable song, but I just know it's amateurish. And I don't think it was worth putting on the self-titled album. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is a fun song that I enjoy. I actually enjoy listening to this. And I will listen to this song again throughout my life. But as like a first statement to the world of here we are, we're Relient K, here's our self-titled record. Ending the album with this song, like, at the very least, this song itself should have been a hidden track. Like, this song is, I think it's poorly written. I have comments about the actual structure of the song.
I would imagine it's there and it's listed on, like, what is it, Punk Rock Picnic or whatever it's called. And I would imagine that it's there, an official song, and it's listed so that people got it. Like, because of the difference in spelling, they're like, oh, Relient K, like the car.
Right.
So they see a song on the thing, they turn it over, and they say, oh, K-car. Oh, I get it. It's like the car.
I guess in a way this is probably, and I definitely thought of this at the time. I'm like, oh, this is like their mission statement song. This is their theme song as a band. Because they're named after the Relient K, and they're like, here's a song called Relient K. Like, Green Day has a song called Green Day. I actually think they wrote it when they weren't called Green Day, and they took that song as their title. If I could be mistaken on that, but there is a song called Green Day by the band Green Day. So you see that. Or Bad Company has a song called Bad Company off the album Bad Company. You know what I mean? Like, there's no self-titled song in the Relient K discography, but there is this song, which is the closest thing. Their band is called Relient K. This song's called K-Car. I just don't think... And the problem that I have with it being on the self-titled record is, as rough as the self-titled record's production is, a song like this, being as amateurishly written as it is, needs a fully amateurish sound. I think this song plays better, sounds better, and just feels better on All Work and No Play.
Interesting.
I think it's just, I mean, I'm not saying people should like this song. I'm just saying if you have an affinity or an understanding or a love for amateurish, like, backyard punk bands, which I do because I was never in one, but I had tons of friends who were, and I would go to their shows, and I supported their band Street Team Style and stuff. Their band Street Team Style. If you have an understanding and a love for that sort of thing, then hearing a band that went on to be a major band like this and hearing this, this stage is fun. And you can imagine them being just like a backyard band and just trying their best and putting all their effort into writing one song. And it sounds not that great in the end, but they spent weeks writing it, so they've got to record it. There are similar things.
Do you know why this version, the version off of All Work No Play, is better, Danny? Because Teeson's British.
Because he's British. Because British Teeson's back. What's this K car? We don't have those in England. That's right. Because Matt Thiessen sings in a false British accent on the demo. It's so funny.
It's so cringy and wonderful.
Yeah. So,
and it's something that I had forgotten about for a minute because I hadn't listened to All Work and No Play in a minute. And then when I put on the All Work No Play version, I was like, oh, that's right.
Right. So
it's like a treat every time. It's like a little treasure. It's a little present every time.
So let's just play a second of the demo version of K Car so people hear what we're talking about. Oi, oi, it's me, British Thiessen. All work and no play, governor. So, yeah, it's... Mike, do you get what I'm saying, though? Like,
yeah.
I don't think the song K-Car should have left for this album, because there's other songs on here, like Kojak and Register and Be Rad.
And William.
And
Curb, or C-U-R-B.
Right. I think Curb might have morphed into another song that we do know. I can't remember what it is right now, though.
I didn't listen all the way through it this time.
But I have some notes after really listening to this song again. Like I said, I don't think they should have bothered redoing this song in its form for the self-titled record. I think out of all the songs on there, it sounds the most like a half-baked song. It's very simple. Yeah, it's very simple. I guess that is the charm of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I get why it's on there. Now I get why it's on there. It's kind of it's like I said, it's their theme song in a way. I understand. But I had actually specific notes on how I think they should have restructured this song before they put it on the self-titled record. So basically, I think it all comes down to the guitar solo. And we had another song in the last, maybe it was Softer to Me. Like the guitar solo for Softer to Me comes in way too soon. Remember that? I think it was Softer to Me. But it's like basically like your heart. It's a short. I mean, they're both short songs. They're both less than 3 minutes. They're both punk rock length. They're like 2 minutes and something and change. But
they're both on All Work No Play.
Yes, exactly. But when you do one chorus and verse and then you launch into a guitar solo, like when the guitar solo is smack dab in the center of the song, something feels cattywampus about that to me. Like a guitar solo should be like 3/4 through the song. Or you can, what I thought when I listened to K-Car, like if I was Mark Lee Townsend, I would listen to K-Car and my notes would have been, well, I wrote down, I dislike the placement of the guitar solo. Just after one round of verse and chorus, maybe it should have been a tiny solo right there. So when they do the first, we got a K-Car, and then they go into the guitar solo, I think they should have just done a tiny guitar solo, then go back into the verse chorus, and then Brandon Evil gives them a call, and then you launch into the full guitar solo. Basically, I think they should have ended the song with the guitar solo, especially in its placement on the self-titled album, to just end the album with a fun little guitar solo. It would have fixed what I feel is the problem, the out of whack, the sort of out of balance structure of the song, which is fine on a demo, but on their first major studio album, I just think they should have taken that guitar solo that only happens 60 seconds into the song and ended the album with it, not counting the hidden tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I would have fixed the song for the self-titled. I think the way it exists on the All Work and No Play is exactly how it should and could exist. Those are my thoughts on that. So I do think that I think this song, because because it is such a simply written song, it just belongs in a demo, and I think it sounds best on the demo.
Right.
And because like my note is the snare drum is super loose. When they're hitting that snare, it just sounds so loose. It sounds like Saint Anger. It's like, I was like,
it's got the extra little rattle to it.
Yeah, that extra rattle, that slight reverb echo to it. The drum work, and isn't it a different drummer on the demo, right? It's not even Steven.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Todd Frescone played drums on the demo on All Work and No Play, and then Steven was the drummer on just the first album. So
I love their clip art.
Yeah, it's like clip art. That's what the whole album cover is made out of clip art from like a
but
clip
then
art
the
CD-ROM.
disc actually looks legit, which I'm surprised about. I thought for sure it was just going to be like a
CDR.
Paper.
Well, apparently
printed
this
CDR.
was because I got this with the membership to the fan club in the early 2000s. We got to turn that down.
We do. We have an ET clock. It goes off. It says ET phone home.
It's an ET. It's like a standing ET like statue with a clock in his chest, and every hour his head pops up and he says ET phone home.
Yeah. I usually remember to turn it off before we start recording, and I forgot today.
Right. So anyway, my copy of the album is from the fan club re-release. And I didn't know that there is any printed difference. In my mind, for years, I always assumed like they just had
leftovers,
a crate of these.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's give them away to the fan club. Like,
that's possible.
I'm talking about during the second or third album this fan club started. But when you look on Discogs now, and so recently I found out there is a difference on the website between the original demo pressing and the fan club re-release that I own. I don't really know how they can tell that, but they can. But the thing is, I knew lots of bands who, like, literally there's no record of them online anymore. And their CDs would look professionally printed. They might not have a barcode on the back, but kids my age at the time, if they had a printer and a CDR burner at home, they could make their own CDs, demos, and sell them,
Yeah, but they usually have those paper labels, not like a nice, like molded
exactly.
on label.
Well, you just go to a printing press or a printing company and just have these made.
All right, fine.
I mean, that's what they do. Like, anyone can do that. And anybody, I mean, I don't know if there's less factories nowadays, but especially back then, anyone could go to any, and I don't think it's like, I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think like lots and lots of CD pressing. Yeah, there had to be like millions of CD pressing factories, unlike records, where now we're like down to like a handful of record companies left in the world. But even in the early 2000s, there was probably not that many more. But like there are multiple CD manufacturing companies in every city. Still to this day, because I think you have to print CDs and things for business, not just for entertainment, but for business, for medical purposes. Like people still need professionally printed CDs.
PlayStations and Xboxes are still taking discs.
Well, I'm sure those are done in like
a next generation, probably.
Right. But I was going to say, I'm sure those are printed in like Asian countries and stuff.
Oh, true.
So basically the sloppiness of the recording and especially the sloppiness of the drum in the demo matches the sloppiness of the songwriting to me.
The demo is real messy.
Oh, I basically already said this, but my note to remind myself to say this was probably would have been better not to try and polish this song for the self-titled album, but cute that they tried. So let's talk about the lyrics, because this is a very simple Christian thing, and this is almost like a nursery rhyme to tell children.
Was making Jesus take the wheel jokes all week, and I didn't really get it, and then I listened to it and I was like, oh, they do sing that it's in God's hands, and for some reason I just block that out of my mind.
Well, I have so we can read the whole lyrics. It's Is it just a car, or is it so much more? It's a superstar with the gas on the floor. Now, I know that they mean the gas pedal, but sometimes when I think the gas on the floor, I'm like, oh no, you poured gas on the floor of your car? That's dangerous. 0 to 60 in remarkable time. It's the automobile that's the top of the line. We got a K car on the road of life. We got a K. We're going to get far if the driver's Christ. So basically, especially if you know, because I did your deep dive, and the problem with the deep dive Googling about this song is you get thousands of results that are all just the basic bio of the band, because the band was named after Matt Hoops's crappy car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Hoops apparently his oh, you know what? It's funny that we have the new caller who his parent worked for the post office, because that's apparently what Matt Hoops's aunt did, if I'm getting this right. Oh. David Katz should please fact check us. You're our intern. But I believe that Matt Hoops's aunt worked for the post office, and she had this car that she just rode into the ground working for the post office.
Oh.
Which I guess she didn't drive the truck. I guess she had a car for some reason, or did something. And then they gave that car to Matt Hoops. And then I found this interview where Matt Hoops is explaining, like, Matt Thiessen saw the car and he's like, what's up with this car? It's falling apart and it's hilarious, but it's also kind of awesome. And he was just happy to have a car.
Right.
And I had a car like that. I had a 85 Honda Accord was my first car, and it was a real piece of garbage, but I was just so happy to have a car that I could drive around and like go to shows and go to record stores and video stores and do my own thing with, that it was awesome, even if you have a real beat up car. It's basically an ironic love song to their car, to the car that Matt Hoops and Matt Thiessen apparently drove around in as they were forming this idea of starting a band. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of pop punk bands would write a song like this. I can't think of other ones. There's a Millencolin song on their Penny Bridge Pioneers. That's just, it's like a love song to his car. There's that Queen song. That's a love song to the car. But just having this sort of like ironic love song to a crappy car, but just loving the freedom it gives you, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. But then I feel like the whole adding the Christ line into it is just kind of like shoehorning, like, hey, we're a Christian punk band. I don't think it comes from a super genuine place. I think it's just like, hey, we're a Christian punk band, so we got to mention a Christian thing in here. And God is driving, the driver is Christ of our K car. And then, is it just a car, or is it so much more? It's a superstar with the gas on the floor. In a drag race, all the others fall, and Brandon Ebel just gave us a call. Now, do you know who Brandon Ebel is?
I do not.
I didn't think you would. He's the creator of Tooth and Nail Records.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and it's funny. So they obviously they wrote this song before, you know, they ended up getting signed to Goatee Records. So they had this dream. So it's kind of a fitting little simile that they have a ton of like budding talent, but they're essentially a crappy little Christian punk band from Canton, Ohio. Yeah. But they got a lot of pep and a lot of go get 'em attitude, and they're like, yeah, Brandon Ebel's calling us up to sign us to Tooth and Nail. But the simile is that their car is a falling apart, like has hundreds of thousands of miles on it, Relient K car. And it's actually a piece of garbage, but it's got a lot of go-get-'em pep as well, and it's taking them around doing what they need to do. And then it's funny, that this was the first song probably that Toby Mac heard, that he decided to sign them to Goatee Records, because in the song they're name dropping Brandon Ebel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they didn't even get signed to Tooth and Nail. On the Tooth and Nail, there's a Tooth and Nail history podcast called Labeled, and there's one point in there, and I tried to find it, but I couldn't go back and listen to every episode of that show to try to find it. There is a moment in there where they talk about, in an early episode of the current season of that show, where he talks about all the bands they could have signed or that they met with that they didn't sign, bands that went on to be big with other labels. And Relient K is one band that he mentioned. Like, there was a chance for us to sign Relient K, but it just didn't work out or whatever. And then he says Brandon Ebel is aware of the fact that this song existed. Yeah, and I wanted to get that clip, but I couldn't find it in time.
I don't know if you came across this in your deep dive or not, Danny.
Okay.
I don't know what your Hoops' car was, but The Reliant and the Aries were selected together as Motor Trend magazine's Car of the Year for 1981.
Oh, nice.
And Matt Hoops was born in 1981, and his pedal company is called 1981.
Oh, that makes sense. It's all coming together.
I think Thiessen was 80. Maybe he was 81 as well. Can't remember now.
Okay. Well, yes, I did your deep dive. Let me just double check my notes. I think I talked everything I want to talk about this song. Oh, I just want to say, for years, so I've thought about this song more often than I've probably listened to it in the last 15 years. But occasionally it'll pop up in my head. And the lyrics that I sing in my head are, we got a K car. It's a metaphor for Christ. Yeah, we got a K car.
I can confirm he does this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he'll just sing it around the house.
Right. And if this isn't a thing, because I definitely do the thing where I mess with lyrics and joke around with lyrics on purpose. In this case, it was like, I never really memorized the lyrics to K-Car, as simple as they are.
Right.
And they are not necessarily that easy to suss out on your own. So I was just like, these lyrics are good enough. They're close enough. The K-Car is a metaphor for Christ. So I wanted to show you one thing real quick before... So that we got into sort of deep dive stuff. There weren't a lot of covers of this song. In fact, there's only one.
Oh, wow.
But one thing
is it Princes of the Sun?
It is.
Of course it is.
This is for the Princes of the Sun. So anyway, but I did find this fan art by Happy Ambassador Art. And Happy and Ambassador and Art all have a period between them. And they did this drawing of K-Car where Jesus
cute.
is driving the car.
Oh, yeah.
And they're kind of like...
That's adorable.
Yeah. It's kind of like impressionistic, like flat drawing. I'm going to share this online.
I mean, it says right here on the Relient K wiki that Chrysler marketed the car as being able to seat 6 Americans.
Oh, this is the official Wikipedia of the car.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 5 people in this car. There's 4 in the back and Jesus in the front. That famous saying.
In the back, Jesus
4 in the back,
front.
Jesus in the front. So I didn't do a lot of research about the Relient K itself, but I guess, like, what's the name of the guy? Does it say the name of the guy who was responsible for it? Because I believe he was basically, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going completely off memory. He maybe worked with Ford, or he definitely didn't work with Plymouth. He was trying to get whatever car company he worked with at the time to do like a front wheel drive car that more people would afford. Like a car basically that had the handling.
So long. This, like, the history on the Wikipedia is like so long, and it mentions every single American car company. So
there are 2 YouTube videos I found that explain the history of the Plymouth Reliant or the Plymouth K series, whatever it's called. And neither of them are great to play on the podcast because the guy is mumbling really badly, and underneath is like an actual like AM, like a rock song, like I can't remember what, like the Ronettes, like an actual, like a car culture staple song is playing underneath the whole time. And then the other one is basically like a pseudo Red Letter Media wannabe guy, but talking about cars.
Okay.
Like frantic, borderline offensive jokes as he's talking about the history. Like he thinks he's Mr. Plinkett, and like cuts away and does little voices. And like I was like, Jessica would hate this. And like he definitely does like offensive jokes, like actually flat out offensive jokes that I was like, these are probably not appropriate for our show. But yeah, the K car, it is a car. It existed. It actually, and like, I guess, what was the guy's name? Who invented the K car? And we're back. So we just quickly took a little dinner break for a minute and we watched these 2 YouTube videos I was talking about before. There's 2 YouTube videos which will kind of give you the overall information about the Plymouth Relient K.
You're not actually recommending that one, are you?
No, I'm going to mention that it exists. I already mentioned that it existed before we went on our little break. Because, yes, Jessica watched it. The YouTube channel Regular Cars uploaded a video about the Relient K. And like I told you, so it wasn't as... So I knew there were like dirty jokes in it, but it really just, there's one dirty joke that's completely pointless. And then like he occasionally goes into like the Mr. Plinkett voice, Like, that's why I mentioned it reminded me of Red Letter Media. So he's, like, clearly deriving from other more successful YouTube channels, you know? Like, if I had a YouTube channel, I wouldn't, like, purposely rip off the character voice of, like, one of the bigger YouTube channels out there.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, Jessica's watching. It's like it goes back and forth between like he's very measured and giving you actual information about the Relient K, and then does these horrible jokes about penises or whatever. It's like
right.
So there's that one, and then the other one that I had seen was by K Carman 88. April, hello, hi April, you finally joining us? Well, So, by K-Car Man 88 gave some real information about the K-Car, but the volume on the YouTube video is way, way, way down. Mm-hmm. And it's Route 66. You just keep hearing the song Route 66 in the background. So basically, I guess the thing about the K-Car, it saved Chrysler. Like, the Chrysler Corporation was doing badly, and Lee Iacocca, whatever his name is, he left whatever company he was at, joined Chrysler, got this huge loan from the government, and then they paid off the government loan ahead of time, invented the K-Car. It was a huge success. They paid off the loan early. Apparently, it was a revolution in the economy world of cars.
Right.
Yeah, which is like Relient K. They were a revolution
in the economy world of music.
Yeah, we did about as, I don't know. The K-Car exists. We'll learn more about it some other time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just talking about
like
the
you
song.
said, because I felt really bad that I hadn't had enough time to do, like, research this week.
Right.
And then I was like, but like you pointed out, it's the name of the band. We can talk about it anytime.
And like I said, so I did your deep dive this week, and it was hard to do because when you search in quotation marks, Relient K, K-Car, almost every webpage that like aggregates music information about bands has the exact same bio. It's like the 4 boys from Canton, Ohio who named themselves after one member's K-Car.
Right.
Like that same sentence exists on hundreds of websites, so you can't really find a lot of particular information about the song. But I did find this interview on Caesars.com, Atlantic City. What is this website? blog.caesars.com.
So for like the hotel and casino?
I'm wondering, is that what it is? I guess it is, huh?
Did Relient K do a big...
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Did they do a big casino tour?
They must have played the casino in Atlantic City, the Caesars Casino or something, because that's what it is. It's an interview with Relient K's Matt Hoops chats up show at House of Blues Atlantic City and more. So yeah, there you go. The interviewer said,
because the House of Blues is at the Caesars.
Oh, is it?
I think it is. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I have a friend who used to work there. I could text her right now.
Okay. The interviewer at Caesars asks, "You guys are named after your car. He had a Plymouth Relient K. What was it about your name of that car that you wanted to name your band after?" That's a very confusingly written question. Matt Hoops takes it in stride and replies, "It was a bit of an inside joke." Oh, this must be the interview I was talking about earlier. I thought it was an audio interview, but this is actually what I found. "My grandmother used to use it as a mail carrier car out in the country." Okay, so that answers... I was trying to speak off of memory before. My grandmother... And it wasn't his aunt. I was also wrong about that. My grandmother used to use it as a mail carrier car out in the country.
Oh, okay.
She lived on a farm and she was a mail carrier. So she had this old beat up car she used for that. She gave it to me when I was 16 and I was super stoked to have a car. But it was just like... he didn't say like. But it was just falling apart and rusting out. I put a bunch of band stickers on the back and it was somehow... This
sounds just like the car Danny had when I met him.
Right, yeah. I was talking about that. The Accord.
The bottom?
No,
the
the Corolla.
Yeah.
I had a Corolla when I met
The
you.
bottom was held together with duct tape.
Oh my gosh. It was not like it was just like there was like a rubbery plastic portion of the underside of the bumper that had cracked at some point and was flapping on the road as you drive. And I taped it up at some point, and then it was still falling off, so I just took a pair of scissors and I cut it off. I put a bunch of band stickers on the back, and it was just somehow became an inside joke that it was impressing all the ladies with my really cool car. There was this one night we were out to dinner, and it was the first time that Matt Thiessen had heard about it when we started playing music together, and he was like, "What is this K car? It's so funny." And he was just laughing about it and said that we should call our band name that. It just stuck. There's no real reason to it. It's just kind of an inside joke that stuck.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of didn't occur to me. I mean, I know we were basically saying this, but it didn't click in my brain until this moment that they're singing about a specific car that was Matt Hoops's, and the band name is from that car. This sounds obvious and like what we were talking about, but it actually didn't really click in my brain that the same car is specific. They named themselves after one specific K car.
Right.
It's not like one of them was a fan of the K car in general, Lee Iacocca fan with a poster of him on the wall. They had this one particular K car in their life.
Yes.
They wrote a song about that car and they named their band after that car. So it kind of makes sense that this is like their early theme song for the band.
Yeah.
Because this is the convergence of the origin of this moment in the band. Even though Matt Hoops is just like, it's just a dumb inside joke that just kind of stuck. We're just kind of stuck with it. Mm-hmm. So many band names kind of come from that. Weezer, I think, is like that. Maybe, I
think Smashing Pumpkins was.
Was it?
Also, it was just kind of like a weird inside joke thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. Oh, another thing I found out about from the deep dive is that...
This is so nice. I didn't have to do anything
I know.
this week. I'm just sitting here like, what did you find?
So on Setlist FM, and as we talked about, when you get into the early 2000s and the late 90s, Setlist FM is totally unreliable. So I'm not sure if I ever saw this song live. Not really sure. I could have, absolutely, in the first few years that I would see the band. Mm-hmm. It's possible they played it. I don't have a clear memory that they did. From the early days, and we'll play this video later, the only set list that's saved from like the year 2000 is that Detroit basement youth group show that we come back to once in a while.
That all the kids are super unenthused
Yeah, that all the
about.
kids have no idea who's playing for them.
Right.
I hate all of them. They're all taking it for granted. And I don't care if it's like, well, you didn't know it was a Relient K back then. I went to shows exactly like that. I went to that, what was it, Salvation Army camp show with like 20 other people, and I was up in the front row the whole time, and the front row was just me and a couple other people. Like, I don't care. These kids are like walking around. They got their backs to the stage. Oh, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Anyway, the only two things listed on Setlist FM for this song are that show. And in 2012, in Canton, they did a show that we've played clips from before because there are some early performances of Collapsible Lung songs at this same Canton hometown show.
Yeah.
They opened the set with half of K-Car.
Oh.
And I could not find any video of it. And I was super upset because I found out, because every time we've talked about a Collapsible Lung song, I find that concert, because multiple people are like, first time playing Boomerang. And then there's like 5 people have made a video and said, the first time this song's been played.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, now I actually watched almost every video I could of that show, hoping someone actually did
Caught
this.
it, yeah.
Especially since it was the opening of the show. I don't care if you've forgotten what the song is. Just show them taking the stage.
Anytime you go to a show now, people always have their phones up immediately.
Yeah, and this is 2012, but still,
open.
they should then, too, because there were still smartphones by 2012. So, JesusFreakHideout.com has a review of that night. December 9th, 2012, the Acursal, Icriel, Aur, I-C-L-E. I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, wait. Siri can tell us. Hold on. Oracle! Wow, okay. I would spell Oracle differently, but I guess that's... Okay, the Oracle with an A. After having a somewhat low-key year, Relient K decided to put together a few end-of-year shows that were aptly titled the Relient K Christmas Homecoming Shows, with 2 scheduled in the birthplace of the band, Canton, and 1 scheduled in Nashville, where most of the band members currently reside. And this would be still with Ethan and John. I was fortunate to catch the second show in Canton. It was roughly an hour from where I lived, and boy, it was beyond worth it. Right off the bat, I knew the night was going to be one for the books. Relient K announced via their Facebook and Twitter accounts that opening bands, 5 score, 7 years, to contributing factor. Where's it? They opened the show at K-Car. Where is it? I'm in an app that won't let me control find.
Who do you prefer reading the articles, Danny or me? Vote now.
I think it's Jessica, because I get bored. I get bored reading articles. I'm like, if there isn't something in it immediately, I don't want to read it no more. I was just trying to find where he talks about them playing K-Car. Because now they're talking about it's a full review of the show, including the opening bands.
Well, it should be somewhere towards the beginning, right? Because
because they're talking about the opening bands.
Okay. Well, scroll down till you see Relient K, and then backtrack from there.
I don't do this for a living. You do. They played The Lining is Silver. They played both Failure to Excommunicate.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. Hold on. This is a very long sentence with a lot of commas. After about a 45-minute set change and dealing with some minor setbacks, such as assisting a girl who had fainted a few minutes before Relient K played, the Ohio Rockers, they should just change their name to Ohio Rockers. Yeah. The Ohio Rockers started off their show with a bang as they opened with their hit Who I Am, Hates Who I've Been. Oh, well, this is incongruous to what I was led to believe. Off their popular album. They immediately went into High of 75 and then really pulled out a surprise by playing the intro and first verse of K-Car. Okay, so apparently... Well, Setlist FM lets K-Car first.
Gotcha.
And I didn't read this paragraph fully from their self-titled album, and then turned into a medley of sorts by quickly transitioning to Hoops, I Did It Again.
That's great.
From their third album, 2 lefts make a right. Don't make a right, but how many lefts can you make? Hopefully more than 3. Relient K played a massive set of 23 songs that night, with 2 new songs and 5 Christmas songs, and at least 1 song off each album, sans their B-side record. I was actually surprised by this, since they usually play The Lining is Silver during their live shows. But nonetheless, it was a very satisfying set list, to say the least.
I thought that you said The Lining is Silver was on the list. No?
I didn't say that.
Oh, never mind.
Are we talking about the record? The Lining is Silver's on the record.
I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Okay, that's all right.
Sorry.
We all know it's been a rough week for us, so I'm surprised at least we've made it this far, which is the song we're talking about this week.
Okay, so House of Blues is not at the Caesar. Sorry.
Okay.
It was at the Showboat Casino, and it was demolished years ago. My friend who used to work there just weighed in.
Okay. Well, because we don't actually have any covers and stuff to watch, let's discuss some songmeanings.com, because there's only 4 comments. There's not a lot for this song, which is kind of surprising, because it's their theme song. It's their big hit. So Food Lover Is Me, 17 years ago, said, "Yay, I'm the first one to comment in here. This song is so cute, haha. It's saying you will get far in life if you have a Christ."
It's true.
I'm sorry. I read it wrong, but it's still not far off. It says, it's saying you will get far in life if you will have a Christ. What? Is it Mario? If you have Christ. It's not have a Christ. It's a have Christ. Saying in the road of life, if you're in a car and Jesus is the driver, then you're good, man. You're good.
What?
The song is saying that if you let Jesus take the wheel, then
I got
Carrie
that part.
Underwood won't skid off the road into a snowplow or whatever.
What?
Yeah, that's what that song's about. Did Jesus take the wheel?
That's a Carrie Underwood song?
Apparently. I didn't know that.
Oh,
until
I thought it
looked
was
up.
some like old, I don't know, 80s or 90s.
No, it's a
like,
newer song.
country
I knew it was a newer song, but
Oh.
I didn't know it was Carrie Underwood until I searched it. Well,
I know that I dug my key into the side of his pretty little souped up
oh
four-wheel
yeah,
drive.
is it the same
You know
car?
that song? I think that's the boyfriend's car, the ex-boyfriend's car.
Did she take his car from him after she keyed it all up?
Why would she want it after she keyed it? Then she's got to get that body work done. Like,
I don't know. I was gonna read more song meanings, but I also wanted to mention I'm all over the place now. I'm sorry, that dinner break really made me lose track. The person who did the artwork that I showed you a little while ago, they didn't just make it for K-Car. They made it for like all of the songs. What was their name? Happy Ambassador Art. They did a bunch of different covers.
oh, cool.
A bunch of different pieces of artwork. Sorry,
Right.
a bunch of different pieces of artwork for all of the car songs by Relient K.
Oh,
Which
wow.
made me realize something I hadn't thought of.
There's a lot of car
There's a
songs
lot
by
of
Relient
car
K,
songs
yeah.
by Relient K, and this is maybe like the original one. Like, let's double check what other ones might be on this album. Obviously, Staples.
Staples, yeah.
I guess you could argue Hello McFly has a car, but they don't really mention the DeLorean.
Is Staples on the demo?
Yes, it is, I think. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I was able to call it from memory. I'm like, I remember hearing Staples on the demo. Yeah, so Staples and K-Car
Are the earliest examples
of car
of
songs.
car songs, yeah.
Oh, and Breakdown. That's another one.
There you go.
Yep, hold on. I'm acting like I figured that out on my own, but actually I went to Happy Ambassador's page. So, okay. They list of the K-Car of the car songs that Relient K song. Oh my gosh. Leave that in. Of the car songs Relient K has done, Happy Ambassador Art did pieces of artwork for K-Car, Breakdown, Forward Motion, Devastation and Reform, which I guess I don't know the lyrics to that song as well as I thought I did.
Yeah.
At Least We Made It This Far, which again, I didn't realize there's a car in that. Maybe some of these are just motion songs. Oh, no, these aren't all car songs, because I So Hate Consequences... Oh, no, I So Hate Consequences has the traffic light. He's sitting looking at the traffic light. So I guess if there's an allusion to a car.
Okay.
I So Hate Consequences. Therapy. There's
That's
definitely
arguable.
a car.
I
What?
mean, it's arguable if
Which
there's
one?
an allusion to a car or if a car is specifically mentioned, if it should count or not.
And yes. But Therapy definitely has
Yes.
a car because he's taking a drive just to drive. When You Were My Baby, which I definitely don't know that song well enough to. Local Construction. And that's the last one.
There's others. I feel like there's totally
There's definitely others, but maybe those are the ones that this artist thought.
There's so totally others.
I know, definitely. I'm not disagreeing. Are you looking right now?
I'm just like thinking. I'm like, no, because like we had. Oops, I'm playing the song. Whoops, there we go. Hoops, I did it again. We had talked about this off mic a little bit, like
Right.
earlier in the week about.
But I didn't give you their
all the
list.
things, and I was like, oh yeah, and I had mentioned before. There's so many car songs, and you had mentioned this week that you hadn't realized that, and then you came up with that list, and I was like excited to hear that list, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think that's quite right. There's a lot of car crashes. There's a lot of car imagery.
Yeah.
Car crash imagery.
But maybe those are just the ones that Happy Ambassador Art felt like making images for. I'm not saying they don't say that this is a definitive list of their car songs. So there's also that. That's also part of my deep dive. So K-Car was such, as a phrase, K-Car Relient K gives you so much junk online. I was doing stuff I had never done, like trying to search. You can't do multiple hashtag searches of Instagram, but what you can do is find one of those one of those websites that like auto saves all Instagram posts.
Yeah.
And just do a Google advanced search within that of
Oh, okay.
multiple things, of multiple hashtags. So that's what I was doing, but it's still the results I have to like sift through. And that's how I found Happy Ambassador Art. Because otherwise, K-Car gives you all the pictures of people's Relient Ks.
Do you have a Relient K? why don't you send us an email with a picture of your K car over at sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com, or you can tweet it to us at sadiehawkinspod, or tag us in your K car picture on Instagram.
Yes.
Again, Sadie Hawkinspod.
But the podcast isn't over yet. We're almost done. One more song meanings that I definitely wanted to read was Mara Louise 13 years ago said of this song, "It's all about the metaphors, you know? Like, the car is the way of making the journey through life and how Christ can help them through life, no matter what's thrown at them. Well, I was listening to it before, and that suddenly hit me."
Good stuff.
It's very on the nose, very to the point. I appreciate it.
When you first said it's all about, I thought you were going to say the Pentiums, baby.
The Pentiums or the Benjamins, one of the other. So we talked about, so let's get into, we don't even have a full cover section or whatever. We talked about the all work version. I put all the links together, all work version, self-titled version. Here is the only live version that exists online right now of the song. This is in Troy, Michigan in 2000 with a bunch of ungrateful little sons of guns.
Have you guys ever heard of a Relient K car? Anybody? Yeah? See, Matt used to drive, well, Matt still drives one, and I used to drive one. So we called our band Relient K. And since Matt drove one first, I thought I'd try and be cool and write the song called K Car to fit in with Matt in his K car.
Yeah.
So everybody would think I was really cool.
Because me and my car were a lot cooler than you at the time. Until you wrote this song.
Until I wrote the song, then I was accepted among the masses. But anyway, this song's called K Car. It's about it's basically about the band, and says we got a K car on the road of life, and we're gonna get far if the driver's Christ. It's kind of just a little silly thing, but it's about our walk, you know. We're gonna go places if Christ is in the driver's seat. And we usually start off the set with this song, but we didn't. And I'm done drinking water.
This song goes out to the punk rock kids.
I'm glad you drank water,
from the
Matt.
Buck Show.
I've never drank water for a show before.
That's nice. You guys ready for the play the song?
Let's go! Is this a car, or is it so much more? It's a superstar with a gas on the floor. 0-60 in remarkable time. It's the unknown feel that's topping the line. We got a K car on the road on life, yeah, we're gonna get far. If the driver's garage, yeah, we got a K car. Sure suits the band, yeah, we're gonna get far.
Why is Hoops in hell?
What?
He's like standing with this like wash of red over him against this red wall. It's just a splash of light, but it's
funny. That's weird. I just now hearing them play it live and like they're just like going, Matt Thiessen's going without his pick, just strumming with his fingers wide open like David Park hates. And just hearing them kind of like struggle a little, even if they're not struggling, the sound like they're struggling.
Yeah.
And hearing them just blast through the song like Ramones style, like let's just get this over with. It makes me think even more how the structure of this song is so out of whack. Because I just realized the verse is like basically one line, maybe 1.5 lines, and then they get right into the chorus is happening like within 20 seconds of the song starting, it feels like. So especially when you do the first verse and chorus and then you immediately already have a guitar solo, it's like the song just barely started. Like I don't even think Ramones songs are structured that way. And that's the whole point, is like they didn't really know how you write a song, so that's why their song, especially in the first album, sound like outsider art. This is even more like that. It's like you don't have a one-line verse go into the chorus.
That's why the kids aren't paying attention, Dan. They're like, oh, this song is a little rough.
But also, it's amazing because they sound like a local band, and they just sound so cool. They sound so awful that it's amazingly cool. So If you were wondering about comparing the original all-work version to the self-titled version, well, don't worry much longer, because on SoundCloud, Valerie Lorman did a 2 minute and 40 second quote unquote mashup of both versions of the song.
Okay.
Now, it's not a mashup, but
okay.
They called it K-Cars, plural. I thought they were just going to put both tracks on top of each other.
Yeah.
Because I've done that before. I've done that with MXPX, like comparing the two versions of Life in General to each other. I think I've done that with some other stuff out of curiosity. That's not what they do here. Here's what they do.
So they cut back and forth.
They're just cutting back and forth.
Interesting.
It's like that those beat swap YouTube videos, or that one where on every beat it's Amish Paradise and Gangster's Paradise, but it switches every beat.
Right.
Like they're doing the same thing, but it's this instead. Here's the chorus. So there's that.
Yeah, the self-titled version is actually faster.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think I was saying this before, basically, as much as the first album has production problems, it doesn't sound great. It is a step up from All Work and No Play.
Yeah.
And then they take a huge leap forward with Anatomy. Then here's our only cover. I had sent out a message for covers, and no one answered. Some people threatened to send us K-Car covers, and it didn't work out. If you're out there and you didn't send us your K-Car cover, and you were working on it, please finish it and still send it, and we'll play it at the top of the show in future episodes.
Absolutely.
But here is the Princes of the Sun. Back again. Whenever there's no other covers, we have theirs. And at least this week, they did a little slightly different instrumentation.
Oh.
So much more. It's a superstar with the gas to the floors. He rode a 60 in remarkable time. It's the automobile that's top of the line. We got a K-car on the road of life. We're gonna get far if the driver is Christ and we.
What do you think? You love it. I know you're the biggest Princes of the Sun fan I know.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough like most of the Princes of the Sun Relient K tribute album, but it was interesting to hear. I don't know if that was an accordion or like a toy accordion or something.
Right. I was trying to figure that out as well.
Yeah, but that was fun to hear, I thought. Especially in this song, which is so not a song. It's because it's a crappy basement backyard punk song.
Right.
Like Relient K's song, that's what Relient K wrote. But to hear anything other than guitar and drums in it is instantly kind of funny and fun.
Yeah.
Then we have not much else. Here's an FMV of someone named Rad Rachel, and she's just driving around. She puts in her Relient K CD. Now, she didn't have the Goatee Records black spine one with the ribbed black spine. She had it with a clear classic jewel case. It's just a girl driving around in her car. I don't think she even has a K car. I think she's just like enjoying her car.
I wonder if people thought like that it's the K car, like they didn't get that it's the Reliant, so they're like it's just like the band like Relient K. their
That's
car.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So they're like, this is my car.
Oh, I can't believe it took me this long to mention this, and maybe I've mentioned this other times on the podcast. But when I started listening to Relient K, I started listening to them with the first album. But by the first or second album, I had a Relient K CD or two sitting out, and my mom and my dad were like walking around, and they mentioned, oh, we used to own a Relient K. They didn't say like, oh, what's that band? They're called Relient K, or ask me anything about it. They just looked at the band name, understood that I have all kinds of CDs, looked at the CD and were like, oh, Relient K. We used to own a Relient K before you were born.
That's funny. Yeah, I think my dad was like, when he saw the CD, was like, oh, like the car.
Yeah. But I can't believe it took me this to remember that my parents used to own a Relient K. They told me they had one before I was born, and like they either got rid of it because I was on the way, or they got rid of it shortly after they got married or something like that. But yeah, I thought that was funny at the time because I just love that. Because I always had secular and Christian CDs in my life, but I just generally had this thing that like, well, my parents let me listen to secular music as long as they don't find out if it's super dirty. And for the most part, I wouldn't listen to stuff that was super dirty. But if there was something that was if they could possibly find an objectionable point to it, I would just keep those CDs where they belong. And I had lots of other CDs like Weezer, and maybe not all my Green Day CDs, but some of them, Relient K, MXPX, anything that was Christian. I'm like, oh, I can just have this sitting. I don't have to worry about putting that back right now. There's no chance of them looking at that and questioning it. But then when they look at it and all they question is like, oh, we had one of those cars before. That's not how you spell Reliant. And I guess that's all the notes I have for K-Car. I just wanted to double check. I might have had one more list, but my app just restarted. It crashed, and I'm almost back there. So yeah, last thing that we'll play, since there isn't a lot of other K-Car stuff, is that I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce this YouTube user's name out loud, but I guess it's Black, but without a C, so BLAK, and then I, or it's Black LLLL.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, look, that's the name.
Oh, yeah.
BLAK I, something like that. And they uploaded this video. It's just a video blog in 2013, and they're just letting you know a few things. And here it is. I'll just play it.
Sup? I'm so freaking tired right now. I've been up since 7-ish, and it's like almost 1, so I'm almost 24 hours into, like 6 hours away. I am so tired, but regardless, daily vlog, gotta do it. I know it's kind of like not really daily, but I'm trying to do it within 24 hours of each other, so that is considered daily.
See, he's doing the thing that we were doing at the top of this show. Like, hey, I know we're late with the episode. Lots of stuff going on. Got to keep uploading.
And you're like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Just
whatever.
Get on
I don't
with
care.
it.
Just go on with the show.
And that's why I cut it out when you do it most episodes.
Today's rant. First off, Relient K, some people may like them. I like them. You need new CD out. I like Forget Not Slow Down, but it was old. It wasn't old. It is old now, and you need a new CD. When is it coming out? Please tell me. If for some reason you see this video, please tell me. I will review your CD for you for free. And keep a copy.
That's how all reviews work. All reviews are reviewed for free. So, Black LLLL uploaded this video in 2013, and hey, I know it only has 9 views, but I'm pretty. Look at the date, February 2013. He uploads this video saying, "Relient K, you guys need a new CD." March, April, May, June, July. 5 months later, Collapsible Lung comes out.
Wow.
Clearly, they saw this video and were like, you know what? He's right. We got to start working on.
Did he review Collapsible Lung?
I didn't look if he did.
I want to know.
We'll figure that out. And then he talks about how he's got a new car, and that's why it came up in the algorithm. Well, let's see. He looks like he stopped uploading 7 years ago, but he has one called I Have an Art Studio.
Collapsible Lung. Collapsible lung did it.
That's
Broke him.
Interesting. So he was talking in the video I played about how he wants to do a video blog a day. But then when I look at his videos, he's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only got 6 videos. And the first one is the one we were just watching.
All right.
So I'm like, either YouTube is hidden or took down some of them, or he took down some of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking like, he's like, oh, I got to do a video blog a day. Sorry, this hasn't been daily so far. But it was the first one.
Yeah.
He did a painting of Jesus. Do you want to see that?
Sure.
Okay, well, here is Black LLL's painting of Jesus. Oh, it's like, what do you call that? Not stop motion, but...
Time-lapse.
Time-lapse. It's a time-lapse of him making a painting.
Nice.
He's putting, like, children's-style letters, like the kind of letters you move around
Interesting.
a refrigerator, but he's painting them up there. So how is this a painting of Jesus? I guess, like, it's abstract.
Okay,
it's
going
there
on
we
top.
go.
There you go.
There it is. Okay. So he painted a giant canvas. Like, that's got to be like a 10-foot canvas.
Or is it a wall?
No, it's a canvas. So you can
okay.
see it leaning. Or whatever. It
now
might be
I
a
can
plank
see
of wood
it.
for all I know. But he's taking this 10-foot canvas of whatever material. He painted, like I said, like children's style sort of letters, like in all these different colors all over it. I can't tell what it says. I don't know if it's a Bible verse or something he's written. I can see the word God in there. And now over that, he's painting in black paint face of Jesus.
Cool.
Is he frowning?
I think that's his mustache.
Does Jesus have a mustache? I guess he has a beard,
Yeah,
so
he's
he
got a
has a
beard.
mustache. You know, I never actually... I'm like, yeah, Jesus always has a beard. But then I never think of Jesus's mustache. You know what I mean?
That's my new band name, Jesus' Mustache.
Just like how it didn't click in my brain that the K car of the song is the K car of their name.
Right.
Just thinking to myself, Jesus has a beard, but that means Jesus has a mustache. It just never was in my mind that way until now. And that's the kind of theological discussion you look for from Sadie Hawkins' pod. So we've already done our plugs. Jessica did them very succinctly earlier. But yes, check us out on Instagram, MySpace, Facebook.
Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter.
Friendster, is that a thing? Was it a thing?
Was it ever a thing?
I don't know.
Was it part of
Foursquare,
the simulation?
Live Journal.
Check it. Give us a good review on Yelp. Oh, you know what? If you want to give us a good review on iTunes, I keep hearing from other people, from podcasts I listen to, how please review us on iTunes. It really helps out. I don't know how it helps out. I have no idea. Just saying, from being on the back...
We don't know if it does or
yeah,
not.
from now being on the back end of a podcast, I'm like, does it? What does it do? I mean, maybe if you're out there, write us a review. We have a bunch of 5-star ratings, which are awesome. But if you want to actually write a review, thank you very much, whoever's given us those 5-star reviews. And they haven't given us reviews. They've given us 5-star ratings.
Right.
But they haven't written reviews. So if you want to, please write an iTunes review. Because I'm curious what'll happen. Will Apple send us a letter saying...
You've been reviewed?
You've been reviewed?
You're under review.
Yeah, or you're under... I don't know. I'd like to find out. So please send us those reviews.
And if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 402-95-SADIE.
Yes. And we'll catch you on the road of life with Jesus in the driver's seat.
We just wasted...
87
minutes of your life. Yeah!